Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Penny Lane podcast. On today's show, Blayne is joined by Striker and Burke Turkey from MTA to discuss handling today's market, investing for the future, the importance of letting your rules evolve, and tons more. Thanks to our sponsors Personify and Rhoback. Make sure you're subscribing to the Penny Lane podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Enjoy.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Penny Lane podcast. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Of course, we have Striker here and Burke. I mean, maybe this is one you might want to log onto YouTube and watch just so we have everybody's voices straight. Maybe, but if you're listening to the audio, Striker, can you say hello?
Hello.
All right, and Burke.
Hello.
Okay. There's a good enough difference there. So this is like a little reunion we're having.
It is.
Too bad I spend 12 hours a day with this guy every day.
Reunion for me.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I think it's been like a year and a half now since MTA started. And,
It's,
me and him are pretty much.
I think it was April. I think it started on April 14th, so it has been a year and a half.
It went fast.
And then, Striker, you were one of my very first guests, so it's been a minute.
Look how far you came, right?
I'm incredibly proud of you. Everything you've done is awesome, and the hard work you put in for the community it's just incredible. It's truly inspiring.
Yeah.
Oh my
So I just
goodness.
wanted to thank you.
When I first seen you trying
nice
to
of
trade,
you.
when I first seen you trying to trade and do the podcast, I knew you were in it for real and we could help you out. And I still remember those early days. Like a bunch of people asked me, did you even have an episode? Because like ours don't show up, that first season. Like if you just Google, they don't show up. You have to like go to the Spotify
Really?
and find them. Like they don't on like iTunes or something like that. And so
Maybe you should just try to hide your episode.
once people find them, and then I'm like, that was when it was just starting. She's big time now. So.
Well, I don't think that I'm big time now, but I don't know if you had asked me then if I would still be going, if I would have like believed in myself enough to be like, yeah, well, we're still gonna be here. I think it's been like 14 months now. We're still going. We're on season 5.
Episode 1000, right?
Oh God, it's so many episodes. We are cutting back a little bit this season. We're going to do only 1 episode a week versus 2. So we're just sort of trying to like find a natural, sustainable pace.
That's good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's been like running a company, trying to figure out how to make the balance sheet work, how to get enough advertisers, how to justify what we're charging for the advertisers, how to get, the right guest. I have learned more doing this podcast than I have in any of the other businesses I've started, I think. Well, thank you guys so much for believing in the podcast for so long and for returning so many times. Burke, this is like your, fourth visit here?
I think so.
I think so. Oh, are you wearing your Penny Lane Pod hoodie? Let's go. I love it.
It was
We
too hot.
coordinated the baby blue, but he didn't put his hoodie on. He thought we looked goofy matching.
I wish you'd let me know. I could have put my hoodie on and we could have bookended Striker in all blue. So how, I am not on MTA Voice as much as I used to be. I haven't been on for a while. So talk to me about sort of what's been happening in MTA. For those of you who don't know, it's Mullins Trading Academy where we all met, and just sort of like what the culture is, because from my end, you guys have been putting out some of the most successful penny stock traders on FinTwit. I am so incredibly impressed with the education you guys have been putting out and just the caliber of traders. So talk me through what's going on.
Dan, you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I've always said that discords are kind of like a bar, and so I don't have a problem with any of them. I get along with them all. I like to go to all of them, you know what I mean? But you kind of find that one that's like
Sure.
yours, similar to a bar. That's the place I hang out every day, and that's definitely MTA for me. And we're a culture of traders, but I think that MTA really, really focuses on the education, and that is what Brad always wanted from day one, and I think we've really stayed true to that. And we talk about it being a year and a half old, and there's some traders that I think me and Berkey have seen since the beginning that came in there as beginners, came in there barely really even knowing about things, and they're making thousands a day now. So, I mean, if that's success for you, and that's really what everybody wants. But the one thing is that almost everyone that happened to, they put in the work. They did the education. They weren't, watching Twitter and things like that and worrying about what this person or that person said. They got into the nitty gritty and learned how to read charts, read trends, and figure in everything else that we sit and talk about every day. But I think that's really what it is we're about the education. I think that's why we see so many successful traders, but we have fun too.
Probably too much fun sometimes. Yeah, just to add on to that. So with voice, it started as basically being a momentum voice channel where we take day trades, and it got overwhelming with the amount of people trying to talk on, you know, all their plays they're on and stuff like that. And, people wanted to be just purely momentum focused. But now it's evolved into, we're each other's scanners. And, we kind of act like a family as well, where it's like we share all the information we gather from the days prior, the morning, the current session. And, we do everything from some people scan off of, you know, large caps, options, penny stocks, continuation plays from days before. We all provide our information and our levels that, can help maybe take a trade for today. And then the stocks that are in play currently with, news runners or whatever it may be. Anything that can be in play, and anything, no kind of trader isn't included now. We do it all on voice, and we're there every day. So just join Mullins Trading Academy, and if you want to hear people talk their thoughts out loud, that's where we're at every day, instead of just using a chat. And all contributions are welcome, and if one person learns something every day, it's all worth it. So
Yeah. And there's a
So
lot of
going
different,
back
there's a
to
lot
the
of different
beginning,
kind of traders in there as well. You got, I know you've recently had Snacks on, and he's basically a penny pusher, and then we've got people in there that are trading, you know, day trade, couple day swings, and then we've got Momo traders, and everybody kind of learns the different type of trader everybody is, and knows who to pay attention to for their style, or helps learn them, what kind of style they want to be.
so thinking back to the like very, very early days when I know Brad and I don't know exactly who else was in this conversation, but we were trying to figure out what to name the Discord. And it was like so important to figure out how to include the education in there. And you never know how something like that will age. And literally, like with every day that goes by, I'm like, oh no, we made the right choice. Like, it's Mullins Trading Academy is literally the perfect name, and that just so rarely happens. And I'm so glad that everyone has that North Star of education. It keeps it so pure.
for sure.
There's
And
almost,
we've always said that we're not going to be an alert service, or not explain why we took stuff. It's just primarily what we're seeing, what we've learned, our experiences, and how can you apply them to your trading strategies, no matter what kind of trader you're trying to become or what kind of trade you're trying to take.
there can almost be too much
You,
information in there sometimes. I know Brian was trying to get some stuff for people set up like educational materials, and he had to go back, and he's like, it's overwhelming how much stuff we have in there from the past, and we've only been going a year and a half. So, um, you may have to get pointed to the right things because there's so much stuff in the education section. But I think that's why you get on Voice and you just learn from the people that do this every day for a living.
For sure. I also think that do you have a Penny Lane Pod logo now? Stop. And an MTA. What's the one on the top?
It just says Berkey Turkey.
I love this so much. I love it.
He's great.
So,
That's Mrs. Turkey's work.
It's beautiful. Is she a graphic designer?
No.
No. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, another testament to the good work that you guys are doing and Mullins in general is the people like Booch, I think, is a good example, and Garth, and me, really, who have just been grinding for so long and not quitting and sort of like developing what exactly works for them. And like Snacks we've had on the pod, and Justin we've had on the pod, and Callum, like nobody comes on here and is like, oh, I learned to trade from Striker and I trade just like Striker. Like people have very, very much found their own voice. Or like Broda is so incredibly helpful in teaching people things, but I don't ever have people come on here and they're just like, Broda, like help me so much, but it's never like, and I trade exactly like Broda. And what a lovely gift to people.
Definitely.
Yeah, Broda's great at what he does. Even I sometimes have trouble figuring out what Broda's talking about, and I've been doing this for like 20 years. So Broda's really advanced, but he's done a great job of breaking it down for people. And he's around on Voice, not every day, but usually, and he's in the chat every day. So if there's anybody that you can really approach it about any hour, it's Broda.
Totally.
And that's the kind of people we have,
Absolutely. So from all angles, it seems to me like the market has been fairly difficult the past, let's call it 8-9 months. And, I go in the floor in MTA and like Jimmy Chonga's still there. Like people are still hanging tough. They're still working. How have you guys navigated the Discord through the hard times?
I'll let you go first.
We're staring at each other. So it's all about adaptation, right? Even for me, my style's changed so much that, I'm still true to like how I've developed to become a trader, but, I'll sit in a large cap all day long, or, and I'm kind of odd in the fact that I'm, trading commons on large caps, but some days on SPY, we have huge moves. So there's range in plays like Tesla, Roblox. I focus on Snapchat. Those are primarily my main three. But, I've always said this, I'm never going to not take a $50 trade, right? So even if I can pick out my spots and scalp those a couple times a day, that, maybe pad my P&L a little bit so that, when there's no volume or any real momentum, that, at least I'm still making money. And just the constant trend is always changing. The consistent trend is always changing. So, we've had these IPO runners lately, and sometimes sympathy plays aren't working, and sometimes, news runners go negative. It's just all about adapting and realizing what kind of market cycle we're in to change the style you're trading each and every day. It doesn't mean that you're not still, playing retest levels on pivot points. That's the hot statement right now in FinTwit. But you just get good entries. So therefore, when you're taking your losses, they're a couple cents a share with the possibility of, making more than that. It's every day is different for me. I don't have one set way that I'm, staying afloat. There's a lot of ways. So that's where I find my strength.
I'd say it's definitely difficult right now. It all depends on where you're at in your trading journey. I mean, if you have gotten your skills down and you know how to do risk management, you can really trade in any market. So I see people, it's common with new people, they come in and they're all over the place following whatever's running, whatever's being mentioned in a chat. And at the end of the day, they might have taken 50 to 60 trades and they're, red, green, but the results are not very much the same. It differs every day. And so what if they were just to have waited the whole day, and watched and watched and watched until they found like a 2 cent stop loss, low risk play, and put the entire amount on there and either lost $40 that day or made money. If you're doing that anyways, then just tighten up your risk management and start learning about zones and levels and support and resistance. And it's not that hard. You can be in the worst market of the year, or decade or whatever. It comes down to risk management. And then, understanding patterns and the basics of the things that we look for, flags, and, there's lots of different things out there that you can key off of. But the point, I think, is these people that just don't respect, the risk, and that we're in a down market. So it could have been a great trade that day, but as soon as SPY keeps dipping or whatever, that thesis is over, and you need to sell that stock and then look for a reentry. And that's one of the biggest things I think people don't get.
One thing I love that Striker's been doing recently is, he can add on to this more, but it's helped a lot of people lately. I know a ton of people are using his strategy and are learning from what he's doing every day, and he's so consistent with it, it's crazy. He's jotting down all the plays for the previous days that have run 40, 60, 100, so on percent. He uses a crazy system where he puts stars and smiley faces next to these runners based on how much percentage they grow. But and he's waiting. He's like a hawk. He waits and waits for the play to pull back to a certain key level when no one else is looking at it. And it's generally an area that was a previous resistant, could be support, or somewhere where, shorts that have been walking it down on day 2 or day 3 after the run, maybe covering some, and he's patient. He'll sit there all day. It doesn't matter what's happening in front of him, and pick his spots and then ride those plays back up, even if it's to the next key level. And it's a 5-10%er, and he puts a trail stop, and he never loses on those unless it's like a 2 cent stop because the level he was waiting for doesn't hold. It's as simple as that. And he does it like clockwork with numerous plays each and every day, each and every week, and it's low risk trading. It's awesome.
This episode is brought to you by a new social investing platform called Personify. Personify is a gathering place for both stock and crypto investors to share trade ideas, portfolios, and investment analysis with the community. The app was inspired by modern investors who enjoy trading within a community and sharing ideas, but lacked a platform specifically designed for it. Traditional social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Discord weren't designed specifically with this in mind, which makes it difficult for creators to share and learn. Personify is great because it's the only platform that specifically acts as a personal investing journal where subscribers can learn while also keeping track of their own thoughts and ideas. It's a culture devoted to learning and understanding the why behind trading strategies. It's the go-to social destination for both economic content creators as well as students of the market. Download the app and join the Personify community today.
All right, we're back. Striker, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say I can add on, what I do basically each day. Anything that goes over 40%, I just write it down. If it goes 60 to 100, I just kind of put a little slash next to it to know that it went to that upper half of over 50%. And then if it goes over 100%, I do put a little star next to it. Just, it did it. And it's not a smiley face. Me and this guy joke with each other all day. So it's all comedy with us. But that's pretty much it.
You want to see what he writes next to 1,000%er? Stay tuned.
It would have 10 stars next to it is what it would have. So, and then really a lot of my system's about timing. So if you just have that written down every day and you continue to do that, usually each morning from like 9:15 to 10:30, I'm looking at this 2 day ago runners. So whatever ran 2 days ago, and T2s can still happen right out the gate. It's just I usually let that happen, and I try to wait for it to find where it's going to be. If it already ran right out the gate like some T2s did, I miss that, and that's fine. But what I try to do in the morning is look at those 2 days ago for double bottoms, for bottoms. I'm usually not one to like buy a knife or anything. I'll wait for it to find something and try to bounce, and then wherever that low of day is or the low of previous day, that's going to be my stop. And you can see, like, just as an example, today was camera and like NRBO, not small moves, 30-40% type moves if you get in there at the right time. And it's really just about timing.
I saw a tweet or something pop up today that Alf had news, and I was like, like PTSD from trading that long time. Really could not get a handle on it.
I haven't heard that one come up lately.
How is news affecting small caps these days?
It's really hit or miss. I mean, I know everybody's waiting for a theme to hit, like some bio runners. I know there's a conference coming up, so I think some people are expecting, wake up to some bio gaps and maybe they'll get hot, stuff like that. But the last couple nights we've had ownership stake increases and some filings, and those plays have been getting sent at night, and then they'll fizzle, and then they'll get a secondary pop maybe midday the next day. We haven't had, like today, I think CFVI had merger news, and the thing tanked like $4 a share. It's very hit or miss. Last September we were waking up to 15% max gainer list. So we're waking up to 50, 60%ers, and most of them have news. Sometimes they're earnings. We're kind of getting out of earnings here, but I'm trying to think what was the most impressive news the last couple of days that even.
Well,
like NRBO had a guaranteed contract last night, and that popped again. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the big news today was the Adobe buy, but you weren't really talking about large caps, but Adobe buying that company for $20 billion or something like that, some insane amount of money. Small caps, there really wasn't any crazy news this morning. I think there was maybe like a positive data or something, but those can be Brian's definitely the one to ask about the news stuff, because I don't necessarily play when the news hits. I'm not about that. I like stocks that have found a high, found a bottom, and I have my range. And so when a headline comes, that's just like good to know for me. I don't, it doesn't make me go for a play, but later on that day, maybe.
Let's just say I'm not hitting anything when the news comes out. There's definitely a market and a time and a place for that, for sure.
Totally. So, Striker, what are you doing with your long-term holds, portfolios? So honestly, I thought when we reclaimed 400 on SPY, I thought maybe there was like a temporary bottom. I was wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Constantly wrong, as everybody is. Are you a buyer now, or are you waiting for a confirmed bottom?
So I still am just doing what anybody like that regularly contributes to their 401 is doing, is just dollar cost averaging. I have not changed a thing. I never pulled anything out. I never moved any amount to cash. I stayed right where I was. And at the same time, and it's good to talk about this right now because, oh, look at that. Barkley.
Hey, bud. Hi.
He sees something out the window.
He wants his window right now. I'm sorry, Striker.
Focused on the window. But no, I really haven't changed a thing. The biggest thing with what's happening right now is we still could see more lows. We still could see some way more lows. And I don't want to scare anybody, but you have to always be prepped for that. You're here for the long term. When it comes to long-term accounts, you have to believe in the past. We still haven't fallen through any major support levels. Right now we're still just playing with some COVID levels. So, you've still got a lot of levels there in the past. If you're looking like long term, you're still making a mountain. It's just that it doesn't feel like it these last couple of years. The biggest thing that I'd say is that you still could see more lows, but when the market does turn bullish, a lot of times it can bounce in a quick fashion. So those people that try to time the market, and I've talked about this before, and there's articles about this out there, that they never did as well because they never could time it perfect. And some of those first couple bounce days or something really bullish, let's say the war ends. I know it doesn't look like that in sight right now, but let's say that comes out, it's going to be extremely bullish for the market. There's a number of things that can happen in the next couple of years, and you have to look at that long-term view. I think the biggest thing to understand is where you're at in regards to retirement, like when you're going to need the money. So the worst situation you could have been in these last 2 years is you're like 55 or older. So you're getting ready to retire. A lot of your value was lost in your 401 the last couple of years, unless you were like in just bonds and low risk, which is usually the path once you get over 50 to start easing that risk back. So that things like this don't put as much of a dip in your account. And that's basically what happens when you ease back your risk, is you go to more bonds so that when the market dips, you don't experience that dip that much. But somebody like me, I'm 45 years old. I still am mainly high risk in all my funds, and I'm taking one of the biggest bets of my life the next 5 years, and I'm not touching that. I'm staying in the most aggressive type funds. And that could work out not so great, you know what I mean? But I really truly believe that we're going to see some more lows, but then I'm just going to keep dollar cost averaging in, and I think that we will eventually, turn out, but it may not be for another, 5 years or so. And if I come to 50 years old and God forbid we're still just going down, you know what I mean? Then yeah, I'll have to take what I have left and move that to a lower risk, like a medium or a low, once I'm 50 years older. But I am betting for this last 5 years to 50 that I'm staying in most aggressive. Because, see, if you move that right now to like medium or low, it's like taking losses on things. And I still believe that the market will return. But like I said, we're still going to see some more bottoms, I do believe. So it's about the long-term picture. Don't change anything. If you have a job, if anything, I know things are tough right now, but keep trying to up that contribution. You can never save enough, really. It'll help you weather things like this. And there will be a time that the market is good. That I say that, and a lot of people are like, hey, it just doesn't feel like it. But that's because it's really only been 2 years of like blood, you know what I mean? And that's all they see every day. But it will change like anything. There's ups and downs. And when we get back to that bullish market, you want your 401 and your long terms ready. And, look what we've seen when in the beginning of the Trump presidency, some people's 401s seen 40%. So right now, some of them are down 20%. And you see how fast you could fix that gap. So don't get too worried. Just keep doing what you're doing. More than anything is just worry about if you're at the right risk level for the age that you're going to retire, and understanding how that affects things. So if you would have been in low risk this last couple of years, you would have only lost a couple thousand. Most of us being young, we're in high risk, aggressive funds. We've lost probably a few thousand, 20% of depending on what your balance is. And so that's what you change as you get older, as you move that risk down. That you aren't 60 years old getting ready to retire and the market does this and you lose half your balance in 1 year. That's what risk is all about. Hope that helps.
Are you laughing, Berkey, because you said those of us that are young?
Oh, I get teased all day about my age. And, I'm used to it. Like everybody that I trade with all day is anywhere from like 20 to 35. And I'm like the old guy on boys. And then in my world, like
some people believe he's 80 because of me. So.
They really do. They think like I'm an old guy.
He's known as grandpa, but he really is a grandpa. So it's cool.
It's so fun. I always, I bought into the, Striker's old thing, but we're the same age, basically. So,
fun fact about Striker, he still calls in every single day trade he makes.
Yeah.
Picks up the phone, calls Fidelity, and He's
That's
just
a
set in his
joke.
ways. He gets his stock certificate at the end of the week, and
The certificate thing.
to each their own.
Can you remind me, Striker, how long you've been trading?
I've been trading for about 20 years. I first started trading in about 1995,
Well,
6. Yeah. So I guess that'd be longer than
so
that.
you're old in the market, but young at heart.
Yeah, I think so. Right. I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird. I still live every day like about the same as when I was young and like in my 20s. You know what I mean? I love to gamble and bet and then have fun and watch junk TV at night. You know, I mean, that's the life, right?
What show you keep trying to get me to watch every night?
What show do you get me to watch every night? So me and Berkey are, I'll just admit it, me and Berkey are Bachelor fans.
Whoa, come on! You can't tell people that.
Did you guys listen to the Jason Tardik episode?
I don't know what that one was. Oh yeah, your podcast. You mean? I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have never fangirled so hard. I love The Bachelor.
I'm gonna have
I
to
love
listen
The
to it for
Bachelor.
sure.
However, I am like slightly off The Bachelor, A, because they do such a good job with Bachelor in Paradise. And B, because I feel like The Bachelor has like a little bit jumped the shark. Ever since his Instagram name is the Year of Blayne, or he was the old producer of The Bachelor, and they've like changed it up some. I'm not as big of a fan as I was, but like during the Caitlyn Bachelorette season, that was really the height of my fandom. I'm a huge fan of hers.
Well, and I think it's.
Are you guys new fans?
I think it's more we just tease each other because our
I
significant.
used to watch
others-
it with my mom when I was young.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
we're always asking each other if we saw the game last night, so people don't know our secret. And then we talk about it, and people are just like, "These guys are idiots. We know what you mean," or they don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I will. I'll be like, "Did you watch the game?" And then it'll be like, so and so's just really not. I'm not liking her this year, and everybody's like, "What are you guys talking about?" You know what I mean? And we do it in code, but it's not like I'm necessarily a fan of the show. I really sit and talk trash about the thing every time it's on. I get ticked that they're drawing it out. I get ticked that there's so many commercials. I'm like, this year all the girl says is yeah to every single response. So it's just like anything. Like I like to just talk trash about TV, and it's pop culture, whatever's going on that people are going to be talking about. I got to have watched it so that I can comment and make fun of it pretty much.
Absolutely. Like, why else does one watch The Bachelor? Do you really care if these two people fall in love? No. But like, do you remember when the guy Colton jumped over the fence?
Yeah. So he's from like right near my hometown. So he's from Washington.
The whole
Illinois,
season, they're like building it up to this fence jump, and then they're like, cut. They're like, the fence jump is, and all. I mean, that was like the really great TV because you're like, why? I mean, what's gonna happen to make this guy jump the fence? And then when he finally does it, you were like, oh, he just like needed to leave the little bubble or whatever. He's gonna go after this girl. Anyway, so I really need to get back into it. Also, Nick Vile, massive fan of Nick. I really love Caitlyn, but I really love Nick. And he has had such a renaissance post-Bachelor. Now he's the love advice guy. Everybody loves him. His podcast is one of the like top ones on the charts. I'm so glad things turned out well for him.
No, we got sidetracked, I know, but I think that's part of voice every day. That's part of voice every day. Is we'll give you the Netflix update, we'll give you
Crumble cookie lineup.
Yeah, we always look at the crumble cookie lineup every Monday morning, and I think everybody's gotten hooked on those things lately. And
What's that?
You don't know about crumble cookie?
No.
So it's this company. It's in every city, so I know you got one there and where you're at. and every Monday they put out 6 new cookies, and so that's their business model, and it's gotten everybody to like, you want to see what the new cookies are every week. and they've put up like 5,500 locations in the United States in the last year, and everybody's just going nuts for them. And when you try
When do
them,
they IPO?
yeah,
Get
you'll
this
see
back
what
on
I'm
track.
saying. Like, you got to
I'm
try
playing
them.
their IPO. I'm buying shares.
I can't believe you haven't tried them yet.
Now,
Everybody's talking about them.
how does one get them? Do you have to go to the location, or is it like a Tiff's Treats where they'll bring them to you?
No, they're in every
DoorDash,
major
but
city. Yeah, so you could DoorDash them, but they're in every major city now.
order ahead, walk in.
So talk to me. It's not obviously your average chocolate chip or white chocolate macadamia. What kind of flavors are we working with?
Well, like, so they change
have
every
both
week.
of those generally.
Yeah, I think you can go in there at any time, and that's the only one that you can always get is like the milk chocolate chip. But then each week there's 6 featured different ones, and I mean,
They are gourmet. Like they go above and beyond with the flavors, and
yeah, I mean,
you
This
normally
is-
have to cut them in fourths, and that's someone coming from someone that goes a little crazy with food. So
This is fascinating. Ever since I've been cutting back and or quitting my drinking, I've just been like big on the desserts, lots of desserts, but I've been eating a ton of Oreos. So I might have to, now I got to start door dashing cookies. Thanks, guys.
they
Yeah.
do some good work with their Oreo ones. Most of them you have to eat them hot though, so you eat them there, or like right when you get them in the car, or like heat them up in the microwave.
Oh, goodness. This is going to be a new expense, a new line item.
I just think the business
All
model
right, let's take a,
is like so interesting because it's got us all every Monday wanting to know what the new ones are for the week, and there's nobody else really.
Totally.
It turns it into like a fire sale each week, even though, and then you can't get it, then it's gone until they bring it back, or some are like season themed or whatever too.
oh, have they gotten into pumpkin yet? Is it
Mhm.
pumpkin season?
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick break. Bo,
Blayne.
we're hat twins.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. I'm so excited that we're sponsored by Rhoback now. I have been wearing my gear ever since it came in the mail, and I love the colors, but I especially love this little dog. I wore him to the pool last night, and people were giving me the thumbs up.
Yeah, this stuff is awesome. I had heard about it before and always wanted some, but now that I have it, it has exceeded all of my expectations.
Is this your first time receiving a gift in the mail from a company and like opening it and checking out the product?
It might be. It certainly is associated with the podcast.
I have gotten those before, and I was blown away by the quality of this product. It far exceeded what I thought that it would be, and I truly think I'm just gonna like live in it all fall.
Yeah.
It's so comfortable.
Yeah, I've been playing golf a lot this summer, and so I like all my golf gear, but the thing about golf shirts is like the sleeves are always too long and they're always too baggy, and like, I'm relatively in shape guy, so this fits me perfectly. I still have full range of my arms to swing a golf club, and like I could wear this doing anything, not just golf. Like they got hoodies, they got quarter zips, it's like nice and stretchy. I love every single thing I got.
Me too. I love it. It all looks so good together. It's part of a set, and I feel so thrilled to be able to offer our listeners a 20% off code, which is
Penny 20.
all right. So you go to rhoback.com, which is RHOBACK.com. And you just enter Penny 20, you get 20% off, and thank us when your order arrives because it's lovely. You also know how much I love opening experience. Like I'm such a snob about packaging and the way things are presented, and it was a treat.
Yeah, the shit's awesome. I'm not like,
Yeah.
don't even have to like, I would just promote this to anybody regardless of a sponsor or whatever, because this shit slaps.
Also, you've already been like low-key pumping out the Penny 20 to your closest friends because you really believe in it.
No, absolutely. I'm sending this to all my friends because it's shit I think that they're going to want anyways. So, why not take advantage of the discount and rep it everywhere?
Totally. Thank you, Rhoback. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Rhoback.
All right, we're back. Okay, so you guys are on Voice. You're talking about The Bachelor. You're talking about cookies. Are you on Voice?
Nobody knew was gonna join.
I know. This
Are
is
you
what
on
we lose
Voice
the
all
traders.
day from like 9 to 4, or do you guys like take a break in the middle of the day?
What, like with me, I'm always listening if I'm not at the desk. So I'll run to the gym or something at lunch. I run an errand, take the dog out a couple of times, but I stay logged in and kind of monitor. But when we get up in the morning, we prepare and we talk about things like 9, 10, somewhere around 20 minutes before market opens, we go over everything to be prepared for, and then we talk a good bit the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the day, and then the rest is just like chit chat, and then like mentioning when something exciting happens, or news comes out, or stocks breaking out, or we filter, or something's coming back down to a previous support, or anything it may be. The rest of the day, pretty much.
How much are small caps correlated with SPY these days?
I
Very
I don't
much
think.
so.
What?
I say very much so, as far as like what
I
that day is going to be like, but not the runners necessarily. So if something's running that day, I think that SPY can give it like small pullbacks and things if SPY was to really dip. But whatever's running for a reason is running. Now I'm saying if you're just
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I don't think they impact the runners. Like if SPY has a dollar down candle, we won't see a knife every time, but the stocks that are just like not in play, I think they are pretty well correlated, algorithm wise and whatnot.
yeah.
That's so frustrating because SPY is so hard to trade right now. It like makes other things really hard to trade right now. I wish there was just one like Tesla like back in 2020 that was just easy to trade. It just seems frustrating. What would you guys say to a brand new regular Joe who wakes up tomorrow morning and is like, I think I'm going to get into trading?
Surround yourself with people that are doing it, every day, each and every day, and then try and take strides into figuring out what kind of trader you're going to be without losing a ton of capital. So if you can, work on your strategies, kind of play at each kind of market type you may be trying to go for, um, before you just dive in. I think it's important to have money on the street, of course, when you're trying to learn, but not so much that each and every trade you might have to redeposit because of it. I know a lot of traders that have gone from small caps to large caps to options to futures to back to small caps, and if you can be a jack of all trades and realize when the conditions are right to decide what trader you're going to be each and every day, that's one thing. But I'd say be around people that are consistently trying to do the same thing, that you can not emulate and like copy them, but work on the strategies and try and understand them before you actually put real money to the test. Because market tuition is very much real, and you'll learn that quickly if you're not patient or going about things the right way. And that's all easier said than done. But I know Striker's going to say screen time's everything, and that truly is it. You got to watch for months. You got to get in there with tiny positions for months, and then you're going to start figuring out things like building blocks. You might get that aha moment in a couple of months, and you may get some consistency, or it might take years. But you just have to be in the game, and you have to be around the people that know what they're doing and not feeding you BS. Go ahead, Dan.
No, right on. I mean, consistency and screen time. I don't care if you're playing with a $50 account and you're taking $5, $10 trades a day. If you can get it to every day, 3 out of 5 are green, you're ready. All you need to do is just slightly step up the amounts and grow your account. You can figure out if you're a good trader with a $10 account. I mean, just buying penny stocks. It's all about consistency, and then once you can do that, I mean, I still don't like stocks under $1, but I'm just saying that once you can trade about anything off levels using risk management and your decision making is more than 50% green, really from there you're just going to hone in your skills, continue with your education, adapt to the market, and continue to learn. You know, part of learning too, I think, is learning what to stay away from, and that's a lot of things out there, just people chasing, you know, whatever's going that day. But you know, understand how float comes into play, understand how Chinese stocks come into play. They might look real attractive for about 5 minutes, you know, and just, you know, what's the difference between that stock and this stock, even though they're the same price? There's a major difference. One of those is on this exchange, one of those is on that exchange, one has this float, one has that float, one's an American company, one's a Japanese company, one's got an offering waiting, you know what I mean? So it just takes a long time to learn, and I think that voice has helped a lot of people too. And I think, you know, even us experienced traders still check in every day. We're still there every day because we need each other, and we don't have it all figured out, even if we've been doing this every day for a long time.
Two things to add to that. This one's like, you know, sounds simple, but it's not. Add its smart spots. Know why you're buying and why you're selling before you take the trade. The second thing, make rules. That was the biggest thing for me. At first, I would just trade every day, and there was so much volatility and whatnot, but I had no rules behind them. So when I would lose, I wouldn't even acknowledge that I lost, and I wouldn't try and adapt or, you know, understand why or make sure that never happened again. And the good thing about making rules is changing your rules, because that means you're learning something. So always update your rules. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. Things change, market cycles change, you change as a trader. Always change your rules, and that means you're succeeding because there's something coming out of it, right? So just try and do those two cheesy things.
Yeah, I mean, Berkey will wait all day on a stock that's been running, and he didn't get an entry that he wanted, and he's not upset about it because he's looking for that perfect entry, and he's one of the best at that. I'm not necessarily a Momo trader, so when something's continuously going up with those big green candles, you know, these guys are great at chasing it, and that's not really what I do. But they're not chasing it because they're buying it on a pullback. They're buying it on a plunge. They know when other people are selling, and then people are going to come in and buy on support, and these guys are great at that. And I know that's not the kind of trader I am. But, you know, and we're still on voice trading all day. We know what each other are doing. And then there's other people that are different than us and other people that are different than all of us. So it's really turned into a unique community of really good traders. And I think if you are that normal Joe, brand new trader, that you can come in there, and we've seen people come in there and tell us they didn't even know what a trend line was, didn't even know what a candlestick was, and some of those are really advanced traders already. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I think Steven's a great example of one. You know, I mean, Steven can look at a chart now and completely you know, tell you levels, and he's there talking with us a lot of times. You know, and in the beginning, you know, like Steven, I'm not saying that Steven's necessarily doing a lot of trading yet, but at the same time, like when Steven first started, he wasn't even sure of some of the basic trading terminology, and now I think him and some
Steve
friends.
couldn't even get his mic on the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. They're setting up a boiler room now, right? So, have you heard about this? So Steven's like trading with like 6 other guys in a room in his like greenhouse. Yeah.
I think I have seen when we had that happy hour. I think I saw him like building that out.
You might get a call to buy CSCW in the next 24 hours. Just ignore it, please.
I think that would be so cool to be sitting in a room with other people. Things have been so virtual with COVID. That's very cool he's doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're all just trying to learn right now. We tease them and call it a boiler room and everything, but that's just that's really part of voice. Is you're going to get teased, but it's going to be in a fun way. Otherwise, I'd be mad about everybody calling me old all the time. So, you know. But yeah, he's got a bunch of people, and they're all trying to learn to trade, and he's kind of teaching them. But when you look at the pictures that he showed us, we're like, you're starting a boiler room over there, you know?
That's really cool, though.
Yeah, it's fun.
Super cool. Super cool. So, who are some of the people who you like? Are there any moments where you have seen someone that you've helped, like seen the light turn on for that person? And how cool has that been?
Striker, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a number of people. You mentioned Jimmy, Jimmy Changa. I think Jimmy has really like changed the type of trader that he was in the beginning. He used to kind of look at some things that, um, basically just levels and things, but maybe a little bit shaky as far as volume and things. And Jimmy now I pretty much know is green most of the time. He's great at what he does, and he's similar to me, looking at some of the bottom plays, but he still likes his like penny type plays, and he's really became a good trader. And kind of like I was talking like with Steven and a few of the other people, even Callum and Callum, one of your early guests as well, was really just trying to find his way around trading in the beginning, but dove into it so hard that he took a major role in MTA and always has been, in MTA. But Callum's doing really great at trading and is a completely, he's getting up there with the Rhoda levels. So, yeah, I think Callum, someday he's probably going to be calling in from his mansion and, living in a castle or something. But it's things like that make me really proud of like a lot of the people in MTA. And Justin, so he's on a trip right now, but that guy, if you look at his P&L graph, it looks like a half pipe. You know what I mean? So that's
He joined MTA and he was nowhere near PDT, and he never deposited to get over it. And he did all that. I won't say the numbers, but the graphs are out there. And the natural way, just consistently asking questions from all of us each and every day for a year straight. And that's what it looks like. To see someone succeed like that is just, it's mind-blowing. It's awesome. It's everything, really.
Yeah.
That has to make you guys feel so good about yourselves.
And I won't say specific cases for me, but there was a point in MTA where I was doing like Saturday, Sunday night, like hourly sessions with people. You could call me and we could work through some things, and just some of the stuff in the background where people are still in the game, and I've talked through like one example is a lot of people ask me this, like, how can I stop from stopping out immediately on every trade I take? I'll wait for these retest levels. I'll wait for a stock to pull back to pre-market high that's broken out, or some kind of resistance before that's support. And I'm seeing those levels and stuff, but I stop out immediately. And the thing I try and tell people is most of my strategy is like, I won't dive too deep, but it's like a 50-50 strategy. So when I add on a level, I'll take profits pretty quickly on 50% of the shares that I buy, and then I'll let the other half ride so that my new stop, say the stock goes up 10 cents for my entry, the break-even point on that trade would be 10 cents under my entry, right? So for it to pull back that far, and I can still break even, that helps me stay in the plays a little bit longer. Now I'm doing a little bit more of a 75-25, so I take my profits quick, and then I let the last 25% ride with still a tight stop that maybe I won't even stop right in those shares specifically, but it helps me stay in that trade longer to get a little bit more meat of the move, because sometimes I make more off that 25% than I did off the initial scale at 75%. And then what I can do is I can look for my next setup, and I can get in the next trade and stay to my plan perfectly in those last 25% of my shares, because I know it's not, a monumental amount, and I can let them ride and work, and I have no kind of emotions with the rest of my plan except to stick to it. Wait till this level to scale a little bit more, or stop out at this level. Kind of let it do it work for me while I'm looking for the next setup, and maybe I take another trade while I'm still sitting in that quarter position, which lets me ride that freely. So
when you have that 25%, do you have like a sell order in at a certain level, or do you have a price target, or how do you know?
It depends how liquid the stock is, and like how the tape's kind of processing in my mind. I will put maybe like 100 share lots somewhere just so I know I get filled, and my order's not sitting there on the ask somewhere, and maybe it kind of makes sellers go in front of me, that kind of stuff. But there's certain situations where that's important to my share size, and there's some, they don't care that I have whatever amount of shares at all, so I can sit there and that's fine. I'll just consistently move up. I don't use a trail stop, but I use stop limits with like a little bracket so that, say it comes down and hits my stop, it doesn't fill me like 10 cents lower or something because of slippage, because all that stuff's BS. I try and do like a 3-cent buffer to try and like force my order in like a little range. And if it doesn't stop out there, maybe I'll keep riding it because I don't, want to sell it way down low. Risk being considered there. But yeah, sometimes I'll be on that, sometimes I won't. I'll just move that up as the price goes up to like kind of manage it a little bit, but then let it ride somewhere where I know it's not going to wick me out like 2 cents under right away. Take my shares and ramp back up as well. There's you hear me whine about that on voice a good bit. Them doing little things like that. I'm a pretty big whiner when it comes to manipulation and MMs doing that kind of crap, but that's for another day. But yeah, it's case by case, but it's pretty consistent on what I'm going to do. And it's easier to provide examples and talk through like a specific chart when, talking about that kind of strategy. But and I can answer any questions if anybody hears this segment and, wants to go deeper into it. Berkey Turkey on MTA.
Yeah, I mean, he's really great at talking to people in their DMs, and I think all the educators in MTA, if, we have our own lives and we're doing things, but we always help, anywhere from beginners to the people that are trading with us every day. And I still have questions for people every day too, the people that do pay attention to the news and why did this ran. And, we have experts in MTA like Boba for pharmaceutical type things, people with backgrounds in whatever area to help us with things. And so, we've really tried to set up what I call like an army, to play this game every day. And it's not an easy game.
For sure. I was just trying to think when you were saying that. I was like, what in my background would really be helpful? And I'm like, well, I'm really good at knowing when charts are pretty and when they're not pretty. And that's my real strength. Like, people are like, oh God, why am I even listening to this podcast? So you've built an army. Voice is going great. I saw that Brad has a YouTube channel now. I even went on this morning. That seems fantastic.
Yeah,
he's doing really great with that. And that's why we don't get on voice till about 9 in the morning, because generally we're in the chat and watching him, supporting him. And plus, you don't want to be on a voice at 8 a.m. and get burnt out by 9:30. So it's a nice mix listening to him in the morning, and then we get a feel for some of the things that he's seeing, and then kind of do our own preparation in the background, and then when we all come together, we're ready to go. So it's good that he's doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked great. Looked great this morning, and we got to talk a little bit about Denzel Washington. So all good.
Probably played Wordle as well.
Yeah, Wordle.
I have not played
Powerades.
He was drinking Mr. Pibb or Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
I get those confused. I'm from Atlanta. We're all Coke, Sprite.
Right.
That's it. Dasani sometimes.
Dasani.
If you're feeling like a little dehydrated, hit the Dasani.
Tap
Actually,
water and protein shakes up here in Pittsburgh.
Do you put any collagen in those protein shakes?
Mrs. I think uses that stuff. I don't.
Well, it's good for the hair and the skin,
Ooh, well, my nails grow way too quick and my hair gets too bushy too fast, so I'm gonna cut all collagen.
So you're trying to do a negative collagen. Actually, if you could remove collagen from your food, that would be best for you.
Yep.
Well, guys, this has been so fun. We're sort of running out of time here. Are there any real nuggets of information you want to leave us with?
Not really. I'd just say, that no matter if you already have a Discord, or if you have never been to MTA, or if you've never even traded before and you somehow stumbled across this and want to come learn how to trade, that's what we're all about, and that's what we do. But at the same time, I think it's a great group of people, and you're going to have fun. and it's just a good place to work. If you got to do this every day like we do, it's just best to do it with friends rather than alone. I don't care if you don't trade like anybody in the voice. Find somebody to talk to during the day, because this job can be frustrating and it can be lonely. So you got to have friends, and you got to keep yourself, positive, and have people to talk to about it.
Totally. It's also nice to just have another set of eyes, or several more sets of eyes.
Yeah, having those sets of eyes is everything. I mean, I'll be at the gym or something, and someone will tell me something's retesting a level, or like the Roblox. Roblox tonight had bad news at 3:00, and then someone mentioned it, and then his name's Bird Dog. He told me what it was. I traded that thing. It was my biggest trade by almost double of the entire day, all because someone brought up the Roblox bad news. I waited for the first popped, hammered it down. The thing spilled like butter, so I was like, I couldn't have been any more happy, at the end of the day. So that was. I mean, that's what I wanted voice to be, People help me, I'll help you. I'll talk as much as possible. Yeah, we have a little bit too much fun, and it's not as crowded. It's much lighthearted than it used to be. So, any kind of trader, you can ask questions during the day. Nobody's going to get mad at that. You can contribute in your way, any way possible, and come join. We won't bite.
Yeah.
I love that, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for coming back.
Anytime.
Thank you, Blayne.
I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support so much.
Great.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for having us.
By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the Penny Lane podcast makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional or financial advice. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the Penny Lane podcast does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The third-party materials or content of any third-party site referenced in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions, standards, or policies of the Penny Lane podcast. The Penny Lane podcast assumes no responsibility or liability for the accuracy or completeness of the content contained in third-party materials or on third-party sites referenced in this podcast, or the compliance with applicable laws of such materials and/or links referenced herein.